You're the person who always says please and thank you. You hold the door for strangers, you never forget a birthday, and you apologize when someone else bumps into you. You believe being polite is a virtue, a cornerstone of a good and decent character. So why is it that in meetings, your ideas are spoken over, and in social circles, you feel completely invisible? You're still invited, still present, still technically included, but you feel it, that subtle, quiet dismissal. This pattern isn't new. Niccolo Machiavelli noticed it centuries ago, long before modern psychology gave it a name. The answer is more unsettling than you think. It's not bad luck, and it's not because your ideas are weak. Your politeness, the very trait you believe makes you a good person, is activating a dark psychological trigger in others. Without a single word, it is secretly lowering your social status, signaling to the primitive, hierarchical part of the human brain that you are not a threat, not a priority, and therefore not someone who needs to be heard. This isn't about being nice. This is about the brutal, unspoken rules of power that govern every human interaction. And today, we're going to expose them. We're raised on the gospel of politeness. It's the social lubricant that keeps society running smoothly. We're taught that being agreeable, cooperative, and considerate are signs of a good team player and a desirable friend. And in many ways, that's true. Agreeable people are often well-liked, seen as trustworthy, and valued for their generosity. But there is a point of diminishing returns, a point where excessive agreeableness stops being a strength and becomes a critical weakness, a shift Machiavelli would have recognized instantly. This is the politeness paradox. Your commitment to harmony and your fear of causing conflict are the very things causing you to be systematically devalued. Think about it. At work, you're the one who always says yes to extra tasks, not wanting to seem difficult. You take on the invisible labor, the note-taking, the organizing, the tasks that keep the machine running but never get you noticed for a promotion. You smile and nod through meetings even when your idea is ignored or, worse, stolen by a more assertive colleague who presents it as their own. You silence yourself to avoid conflict, believing you are keeping the peace. But what you're actually doing is teaching others that your voice is optional. Your presence becomes background noise. This isn't just a feeling, it's a well-documented pattern. Extreme agreeableness can lead to overcommitment, self-silencing, and eventually burnout. You're so busy accommodating everyone else's needs that you lose sight of your own. You become resentful, exhausted, and you can't figure out why, because you've been doing everything right. The truth is, in the unspoken game of social dynamics, you've been broadcasting a signal of low status. You've made yourself so accommodating that you've become easy to overlook. It's the nice trap, and once you're in it, every polite gesture you make digs you deeper into a hole of invisibility. Your desire to be liked has completely sabotaged your ability to be respected. Every social interaction, from a corporate boardroom to a casual coffee meetup, is an arena where a silent power game is playing out. Humans, like many other social animals, instinctively organize themselves into dominance hierarchies. We are constantly, and mostly subconsciously, assessing who holds power, who is a leader, and who is a follower. Machiavelli built his entire philosophy around this observation. Your position in this invisible hierarchy determines how much attention you receive, how seriously your opinions are taken, and how much social real estate you occupy. Excessive politeness is often interpreted by the primitive brain as a signal of submission. Behaviors like constant apologizing, hesitating to speak, using softening language like, "I just think maybe we could," or avoiding eye contact are all subtle cues that place you on a lower rung of the social ladder. When you consistently defer to others, you are non-verbally communicating that you aren't a competitor for status. You are signaling that you're not a threat. And in the calculus of social survival, those who aren't threats are often not priorities. They are safe to ignore. This dynamic is painfully obvious in the workplace. Consider two employees in a meeting. One speaks with conviction, interrupts when necessary to make a crucial point, and states their opinion as fact. The other waits for a perfect opening that never comes, phrases their idea as a tentative question, and smiles politely when they're cut off. Who do you think the room perceives as the leader? Who gets their project funded? Assertive, even borderline rude, individuals command attention because their behavior signals dominance. Overly agreeable people may be bypassed for promotions and assigned to support roles because their behavior signals a willingness to serve rather than lead. Gender dynamics can pour gasoline on this fire. Studies have shown that women's speech patterns often tend to be more polite than men's, partly due to societal conditioning that expects them to be more accommodating and nurturing. This puts women in a double bind. If they're assertive, they risk being labeled as aggressive or difficult. If they are polite, they risk being ignored and having their contributions undervalued. The result is a cycle of stunted career advancement and simmering resentment, all fueled by the silent, brutal logic of the social hierarchy. By consistently choosing politeness over presence, you're unintentionally surrendering in a game you might not have even known you were playing. When you are consistently polite at your own expense, you aren't just being nice. You're engaging in a series of deep-seated psychological behaviors that have a profound and damaging effect on both you and the people you interact with. These are the dark triggers that secretly sabotage your social standing. First, there's the crushing weight of emotional labor. Sociologist Arlie Hochschild distinguished between two ways we manage our emotions: deep acting and surface acting. Deep acting is when you genuinely try to feel the emotion you're supposed to display. Surface acting, on the other hand, is faking it. It's the forced smile when you're frustrated, the cheerful "no problem," when it is, in fact, a huge problem. Polite people are masters of surface acting. You suppress your true feelings to maintain social harmony. But this performance has a severe cognitive cost. It creates a state of internal conflict, a dissonance between your true self and the mask you're wearing, which is emotionally and physically exhausting. This chronic stress can impair your cognitive performance, making you seem less focused and capable. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and burnout, and this emotional exhaustion is visible to others, further reinforcing the perception that you are fragile and not suited for leadership. Second, for many, this isn't just a bad habit, it's a trauma response known as fawning. Most of us know about the fight, flight, or freeze responses to a threat. Fawning is the fourth, often missed response, where you try to appease a perceived threat by being as helpful and agreeable as possible. It's a survival strategy often learned in environments where saying no or expressing your needs was unsafe, perhaps with a volatile parent or in a bullying situation. As an adult, this pattern continues. You unconsciously try to avoid conflict and ensure your safety by merging with the wishes and demands of others. You become hyper-attuned to people's moods, anticipating their needs before they're even expressed. But this very behavior, designed to protect you, now makes you a target for exploitation. Manipulative individuals can sense this pattern of self-neglect and see you as someone whose boundaries are weak and easily pushed. In Machiavelli's terms, visible compliance invites exploitation. Third, there is the cognitive cost for the listener. When you're excessively polite, you often sacrifice clarity for the sake of harmony. This is especially true in high-stakes scenarios. Imagine a co-pilot saying to a pilot, "It's getting a bit stormy up ahead, isn't it?" Instead of, "We need to divert now, we are flying into a dangerous thunderstorm." The polite, vague statement forces the pilot to expend extra cognitive energy to decode the true meaning and urgency. In situations where decisions must be made quickly, this ambiguity isn't just unhelpful, it's dangerous. The brain is wired for efficiency. When a message is unclear, it's often easier to dismiss it than to analyze it. Your input, wrapped in layers of politeness, is discarded not because it's wrong, but because it's too much work to unwrap. It's important to understand, however, that politeness is not universally a weakness. Research shows that in some contexts, like negotiations, strategic politeness can allow you to make ambitious requests without derailing the interaction. And other research indicates that while there are challenges, many believe communication can be both clear and polite. The issue isn't politeness itself, but the compulsive, submissive politeness that prioritizes another person's comfort over clarity and self-respect. If this is hitting uncomfortably close to home, good. Because awareness is the last warning most people get. If you don't change this pattern, nothing around you will. Subscribe, because the polite world will never tell you when it's using you. Breaking free from the politeness trap doesn't mean you have to become a rude, aggressive person. The opposite of a doormat isn't a bulldozer. The solution lies in developing what we can call calibrated assertiveness. It's the art of pairing your inherent kindness with an unshakable foundation of self-respect. It's about teaching people how to treat you, not through demands, but through your own centered, confident actions. The first and most powerful shift is to move from surface acting to deep acting. Instead of faking a smile when you're overloaded, you need to connect with your authentic values. Your core value isn't to be a people pleaser, it's likely to be a competent, effective, and respected professional. Deep acting means aligning your actions with that deeper value. So instead of saying yes with a strained smile, you learn to say, I would love to help, but my plate is full with projects X and Y right now. To take this on, which of those priorities should I deprioritize? This statement isn't aggressive. It's respectful, collaborative, and incredibly assertive. It communicates your value by framing your time as a finite, important resource. It aligns with your authentic feeling, being overwhelmed, while expressing it in a constructive, professional way. Next, you must master the art of setting boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls you build to keep people out. They're the gates you install to manage who and what you let in. For perpetually polite people, the word no can feel like a declaration of war. You need to reframe it. Saying no to a low-impact request is saying yes to your high-impact work. It's saying yes to your well-being. Start small. The next time you're asked for something you don't have the capacity for, don't give a long, apologetic explanation. Use a simple, clear script. A powerful phrase is, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This simple pause breaks the compulsive yes habit. It gives you a moment to assess whether the request aligns with your goals and to formulate a confident response, whether it's a yes or a no. Your nonverbal communication, or status calibration, is just as crucial. Excessive politeness often comes with submissive body language, making yourself smaller, avoiding eye contact, or nervous nodding. To reclaim your presence, you have to consciously adjust these signals. Maintain steady eye contact when speaking, stand or sit upright, taking up your physical space, use concise, clear speech, and stop using diminishing phrases. Instead of, "I was just wondering if maybe," try, "My recommendation is," instead of, "Sorry to bother you," try, "Do you have a moment?" These small shifts in language and posture send a powerful subconscious signal to others that you are confident and expect to be taken seriously. Finally, practice selective vulnerability. In group settings, polite people often wait until everyone else has spoken, by which point the conversation has already moved on. To break this pattern, make it a rule to share an opinion or ask a question within the first 5 minutes of any meeting or interaction. Claiming your space early prevents you from falling into the observer role. This isn't about dominating the conversation. It's about signaling that you are an active participant from the outset. This simple act short-circuits the pattern of being overlooked before it can even begin. For your entire life, you've likely conflated politeness with goodness. You believed that by being accommodating, you were being kind. But what you've learned today is that compulsive, self-sacrificing politeness isn't kindness. It's a form of self-erasure. It's a subconscious survival strategy that has long outlived its usefulness and is now actively holding you back. The path forward isn't about abandoning your kindness. It's about integrating it with strength. True respect, from others and for yourself, is born at the intersection of empathy and assertiveness. It's found in the courage to state your needs clearly, to protect your time and energy, and to believe that your voice deserves to be heard just as much as anyone else's. Machiavelli's lesson is simple. Respect is never granted to those who disappear politely. Stop disappearing politely. Start showing up authentically. You'll be surprised how quickly the world makes space for the person who is no longer willing to be invisible.